Cool. Okay. I'm going to hit start streaming. Okay. Okay. Looks like we are live. So whenever you're ready, whenever you're ready,
Oh, here we go.
you gotta give me a heads up. Only whenever you are. Excellent. Hello, after a long time away. Sketch Zone is back. I am Carlos, and we got a lot to talk about. So we decided to bring an old friend along and catch up. Everyone, welcome Bob Rissetto.
How you doing, guys?
What's going on, Bob?
Yeah, finally.
Nice to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you guys.
I know, after a few failed attempts, we finally got you live.
Yeah, it's been a couple months, you know?
Yeah. So before we go into all the wonderful art that Bob has been a part of, let's go ahead and welcome Charlie B. Williams III. Did we wake you? Like half of it. Excellent. Oh, we might as well catch up with Jack Kasperzak.
Hello. Yes, it has been a long time.
You know what I miss is the Price is Right music.
Well, you know, if you want to do that.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't know when the hell the last time we did a fun prompt. So, do we want to start from scratch?
Let's go to the canvas here and let's get started. I believe every day's a good day when you paint.
Let's do this. So, I'm so out of not all the time, really. There he is.
There it is.
All right. So last time we met, before all the bugs jumped into the show, we did a drunk skunk accountant. And trust me on this one. Well, okay. Looks like the stream is just now catching up. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Drunk skunk accountant. And we got, yes, SLC Steve Clark. Steve always nails it. Yeah, I like it. Yeah. And he's always, his eyes are always just on point. In his artwork, I always go to the eyes first. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Let's move on since we have a ton of these to look at.
But it's
We got Maestro, please.
he counts for many.
Shiloh nailed it yet again. Yeah. Bob, I know we're gonna get into this in a little bit, but
I just started
Shiloh illustration.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, follow him.
Yeah, I just started following him actually. It was
Oh, Yeah. Tell him we sent you. He'll probably blush a little bit. He might even be on the show here, and he might be in the chat room in a little bit.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Do you know where he's from?
Australia.
Yeah, I think I saw that profile.
Yeah. And I know I'm gonna do this before he logs on because he gets all bashful and stuff, but that's his work right there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he sent me a nice little poster. Anyway, back to it.
Cool.
Shiloh's amazing.
Yeah,
Basically,
that's
that's what I'm
awesome.
trying to say.
Mhm.
Let's see, where were we? We were right there. Bam. All right, so we got Shiloh. And that's it, folks. We had two. You had a month and a half. You had a month and a half. I was traveling. What was your excuse? Yeah, I'm looking at you, Noel. I'm looking at you. Who else can I who else who else can I bust on?
I mean,
Landon. I'm talking to you, Landon.
I guess I should have done one.
Oh yeah, that too. Dave Atsy. Jack. Where's Jack? I don't see Jack in the chat room. Mm-hmm. Anyway, let's pick another one for next week. All right, so this is how it works, Bob. We
Mhm.
pick a category, we pick 2 or 3 categories, and then we do a random shuffling. So out of the categories, we have adjective, animal, character, action, style, and location. Do you have any that jump out at you?
Definitely character
Attaboy.
and man, well, either adjective or action
Or both.
or both. Sure.
And then let's see what that is. How about an outrageous alien joining?
Joining. That's the tough one. Joining.
That would be,
Can we re-roll just joining?
yeah. Even though in my head we can re-roll it, but in my head I had them like almost like, do you guys remember what was that? The one cartoon that was about germs and stuff with Chris Rock?
Oh yeah.
Amoeba Joe or
Osmosis
something?
Joe.
Yeah, Osmosis Jones.
Although they
Osmosis
should
Jones,
make a
yeah.
movie called Amoeba Joe.
Amoeba Joe.
Yeah,
I'm ready for that.
yeah. That was the direct the DVD sequel.
Amoeba Joe.
Yeah. I was gonna try to have them like joining like in a ooey gooey kind of way, but
Yeah, like two amoebas joining, right?
yeah. All right, let's see. How about destroying? Yeah, that's it.
I mean, yeah.
Outrageous
I don't know,
alien
maybe he's wearing a
destroying.
feather boa or something.
And aliens already outrageous. So it's,
That's not outrageous. That's more like spectacular.
yeah.
Yeah, what is
Glamorous.
Oh yeah.
All right, that's it, guys. Outrageous alien destroying.
Let's go to the canvas here and let's get started. I believe every day's a good day when you paint.
Yes. So now we are officially back, and this is a serendipitous moment for me. And for you, Noel, I will send you what serendipity means because I know some of us need help.
Are these your followers or subscribers?
It's been a month and a half. Not to mention that Noelle hasn't even checked in on us in at least what 2-3 months.
This is true.
She has not. She has not. Moving on. So listen, uh, um, this is the point of serendipity. Number one, Netflix is coming out, or Netflix is gonna produce. Well, I can go. We can do the original one. Netflix is coming out with Klaus,
Mhm.
and
Sure.
it's kind of like it's more of a 2D film, but they have 3D concepts in there. Netflix also is going to produce a series for Bone. animated series for Bone, which
Yes,
is an
yes.
old comic strip.
Yeah.
They're adding 2D animation features to Procreate.
Mhm.
And let me tell you why this all culminates to a perfect night tonight.
Yeah.
I was in school for 3D, and then Flash started gaining popularity, but I never really thought that it was gonna be a thing, and then I saw Bob's work.
Oh, I see how you're tying this all together. All right.
See what I mean? See what I mean?
I see what you did. I see what you
And
did.
the cartoon, it was a little short that Bob did. I think, Bob, correct me if I'm wrong. I think you did it for the 10-second club, where you had this little old lady come out and she said, "What we have here is failure to communicate."
Yeah, it was a line from Cool Hand Luke. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a crazy memory.
But what I'm saying is, you showed me that Flash and that I can follow my 2D passion in Flash
Oh,
because of that. Um, it was a really good moment for me, is
wow.
basically what I'm trying to say. So you will forever live in my heart.
Cool. Well, thanks, man. Yeah, that would have been like 2003 maybe or 4.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
It was I had a job at WMS, so yeah, we must have been in contact through email or something. Were you doing 11-second club or
I've always wanted to. I've just never partly. Yeah. No, that's for real. That's a real thing. Um, but then usually, like, what I'll do is I'll log into 10-second club or 11-second club, whatever, on like the 17th.
Mhm.
And you can't got like these days, you can't go in there half stepping. You got to come out rocking. You know,
I
boy,
haven't.
there are some monsters in there. Huh. No, and now I think Animation Mentor, I think they picked picked that up. So that's all part of Animation Mentor now.
I see.
Yeah, because it was gonna stop, and then now that's why
Yeah,
it's now 11 second.
yeah, there was some sort of transition there. Yeah.
But they still have 2D animation killers in there. Like even Jack, I'll like every once in a while I'll check it out and I'll send Jack something and I'm like, dude, and he's like, I don't even know.
Man, I gotta tune in. I haven't. Yeah.
Yeah,
I graduated at 5.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I remember Kyle showing me that clip. This is probably like, yeah, 03 maybe, 04.
Nah.
Wait, who showed you?
Carlos showed me your clip. I
Oh,
remember.
Carlos.
I remember that clip.
Gotcha.
I think that was right before I went to work at the school, I
Hmm.
think. Yeah. Bob, when did you graduate?
Mm, I think 2000.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I had my first job. Yeah, in
Yeah.
2001.
So so Bob is the gateway drug. So first it was me, then Bob, then Charlie, then Jack.
Mhm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Tyrus had a couple classes with me, I believe, and Luis.
Yep. Yeah. Luis has been on the show a couple times. Yeah.
And Luis did? Oh, nice.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I tried looking him up on Instagram, but I didn't know what he was going under.
He's on like what is it? Saturday morning, something like that. I'll have to find it for you. Saturday morning. I don't know if it's Saturday morning cartoon or Saturday morning serial. Something.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm. Uh-huh. Like when you say design up for what or what? Okay.
So yeah, it's Saturday morn. His Instagram is instagram.com/Saturday morn MORNSOC Saturday Morning Society.
Oh, okay.
And I have to apologize. I have a cold because I was playing with a baby yesterday and he sneezed in my mouth.
Baby's me.
Ah, it's terrible. Oh yeah. Yeah. His what happened was he sneezed and his spit landed on my tongue and it felt
Oh.
extra heavy. I was holding him and I was going "Gah, gah, 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 gah," kind of thing.
Right, yeah.
And he was laughing and he just and my mouth was open. I was like, "Oh, son, come on, man." Ah, anyway. Yeah, first OBS, then baby spit.
That's gross.
Yeah. Uh, so before so just to clarify that, like all of us, if you've paid attention to this show at all, you know that all of us went to the same school, Illinois Institute of Art in Schaumburg. Yeah.
Rest in peace.
Yeah.
I was I was there right when it turned into ILIA.
Yeah.
And Jared was there when they asked him to grab his stuff and put it in a box and leave.
Yeah, I was gonna say I thought
No, I checked in with him just to make sure he was gonna be fine. But Jared ended up getting a job at a architectural firm in Chicago. Yeah.
After graduation, I remember Jared.
Well, yeah, he taught. He taught ever since
Oh
he
yeah.
graduated school, and he was a teacher until last year when they closed up shop.
I knew I knew he was teaching, but I thought he got a job at some point. Well,
Just finally got a job, yeah.
wow, that is yeah.
So before ILIA, where did you go to art school at all? Have you always been drawing and stuff?
Yeah, I've always been drawing. It was just high school, and there was a stint, I'd say, in junior high, where it was kind of like a summer course or something. There was a school that was just teaching art. It's very generic, and I went there. I can't even remember how long. Maybe a couple months or something, once a week, my mom would drive me up there. I fooled around with pastels and chalks and sketching, charcoal pencils and stuff, which was more than the junior high was offering. And yeah, I think back on that, and yeah, I was like the worst. I was definitely the worst one there. But I had no concept of it. I can think back to that time where I'm like, man, I just drew the cover of The Little Mermaid, and it looks just like the cover, I'm looking at, right? In pastels, just completely flat shaded, like color by numbers type, where you're trying to color in your black lines with these pastels like a coloring book.
Yeah.
And I remember feeling very satisfied, like, oh yeah, this looks just like it, and had no concept of depth or rendering, and all these guys are standing up on easels around me, and they're doing oil paints and pastels, and I felt like I could hang with them. I felt like I was doing, great work here, great cartoon art. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's great thinking back on that. But yeah, that was it really. I think I really, I've just always really liked drawing, and it's just carried me all the way through junior high and high school. I took several art classes in high school, and nothing too much outside of that though.
Yeah. Did your parents, were they supportive, like putting your picture up on the refrigerator, your drawing on the refrigerator?
It's an amazing question, because I was just talking to my girlfriend about this, and it's interesting. I don't know. I'm trying to be careful with my words here, because my parents never understood arts. They're not artists at all. I mean, not in the visual sense, right? So I don't think they understood it, and they didn't discourage me though, and they didn't. They weren't adverse to me pursuing the arts, like you might hear from other families or whatever, like, oh no, you'll never amount to anything as an artist or whatever. So I like to, it's sort of negative sounding, but I do kind of think that they were apathetic in some way in that regard. And I've always kind of told my friends and my girlfriend and everything, like, it all kind of feeds into this very introverted personality. I kind of just wanted to stay in my hole and draw and satisfy myself, and I never looked to the outside for support or recognition or anything. It was always completely self-fulfilling.
Mm-hmm.
And I still carry that with me now, and it's difficult, when you're a commercial artist and you got to do it for money and you're trying to provide and everything. But in the early days, I don't have like those. I don't have those fond memories or whatever of my parents putting something up on the fridge or, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how else to sort of describe it, but I don't want to. They were very loving and supportive. They took me to the art school.
Sure.
They never like turned me away. They let me play video games and draw. Read comic books and do anything until whatever I wanted. But I don't have those sort of championed memories, I guess. Yeah. And I've never really, thankfully, my parents don't really use the internet, so they'll probably never come across this. But I've never really confronted them about it either, because I don't want to make them feel bad. They were always there, and I try to show them now, like, yeah, look at the stuff that I'm doing now, like. The stuff that I did as a kid, Mom and Dad, I was watching Ninja Turtles and those cartoons, that created who you see in front of you right now. Yeah, I don't know if you understand that, connect the dots here, right?
Yeah.
And I still kind of think it goes in one ear and out the other. Yeah, yeah, it's still kind of a strange thing. Like here's maybe a better example. Like I brought my parents to WMS when I was working there at one point, right? Showed them around. WMS company makes casino games, right? There's all sorts of gambling machines around, slot machines lining the place. Like, okay, this is where I work, and I come up with these ideas and work with the designer and the mathematician, right? We put them up in these games here, and you can kind of see and look, Dad, look, hit the buttons, and like you can kind of see the gears turning in his head. It just doesn't make sense to him. It's like I don't understand. Like I don't understand people play these games, and I don't understand that people make these games that people play. It was kind of confounding. And he's a very hands-on, sort of a man's man, a mechanic, and can fix anything, right? A laborer, and can build and kind of think through any sort of physical situation. But sort of the intangible stuff, design and art and things, it's almost like a mystery.
So do you have
Yeah. There's a physical thing. You actually pull the handle. That makes some sense. And I talked to him one time about, like, hey, are you interested in a job in like the engineering department? Figuring out some of this stuff. Yeah, he kind of gets that. I think what he means is, like, I don't understand why people pay money. Like, I don't understand why people
yeah,
care. That's
right.
one. And then I don't understand, there are people that sit in these cubes and just think up ideas. Like, that's nothing. You're not making anything.
I I come from a very blue collar
Yeah. Thank you.
family, right?
That's kind of what I was
Yeah,
looking for.
yeah, and yeah, like when I got to the age where I started having jobs,
Mhm.
people, all these guys are like you said, this guy just lifted a engine out of his car with his bare hands, and I walk up there and I say, I file papers.
Right.
They'd be like, "What the hell's the matter with you?"
Uh-huh. Yeah, in some ways, we visit with the family and my grandma, over the holidays and stuff. And I think I got a little pushback from her as a kid. This is what you want to do? You want to be an artist? You want to make games? You want to draw? And don't you want to be a lawyer or a doctor? And that's kind of the
Yeah.
maybe the more traditional sense. And yeah, thinking back on it, it's like, yeah, like, that kind of makes sense to me. That it's either it's black or white. And here, Grandma was telling me, like, no, maybe you don't want to go down that road, or maybe think about something else. And I wasn't getting it one way or another necessarily from my parents.
Is
Um,
it easy to assume you're probably the first artist to come out of this
yeah,
family tree?
yeah. Although I recall, uh, so a couple thoughts here. A couple of my uncles were talented, just doodling, just
Yeah.
scribbling, and I think I latched onto that. And same with my dad. And I think that's sort of the indirect support uh,
Right.
from them. Like,
Mhm.
I would hammer my dad to draw these characters out of the Mario 3 instruction booklet, or the back of this He-Man box. Draw these guys, just because he was a better artist than me. And I was amazed watching him do it, and I'd cut him out and kind of play with him and stuff. And I think it was kind of like a little bit of a challenge for him, like an exercise, like he could do this while we were watching TV or something. And I was mesmerized by it. Like, oh, this is great.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That's I've told this story a number of times on this show, but my family never really did understand what I wanted to do.
Hmm.
And when I say, I want to be an artist, and they're going to say, yeah, but what are you going to do to pay your rent? Right.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Because
right.
they never really understood think you can make money on this.
Mhm.
And I think we share the same experience as kids where it's not that my mom ever uh, told me not to go into art, but
Right.
she didn't understand that those cartoons that you see on TV aren't magically put there.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
someone is literally, like you said, sitting in a cube
Mhm.
thinking of goofy characters to make move and put on TV.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's not that, you know, not that they, I guess, hate us or
Mhm.
they're whatever, is that they don't fully understand the possibilities.
Mhm.
Um, and luckily, well, in the next few weeks, we have my, my little cousin coming on the show. Um, and uh, she just landed a job at Nickelodeon,
Oh, nice. That's
and
great.
I like to. I'm gonna give her a hard time. 'Cause I'm gonna be like, "How's it feel to have this easy road that I plowed for you?" Because I had to field all these questions about what the hell are you doing with your life.
Right.
Kind of.
Yeah, we took a look at her. Yeah, we took a look at her
Yeah.
portfolio and stuff.
What kind of role is she going into at Nickelodeon? Environment artist?
Yeah,
2D or 3D?
and her she went to school for 3D, but she can draw too.
Mhm.
She gets after it. Yeah, she's a good one. So yeah, we'll be talking to her here in a few weeks. But anyway, so then you got to um ILA.
Yeah, yeah. Sort of just the path for me, like through growing up, junior high and high school, was like, all right, I'm just gonna draw comic books for a living. Like I didn't want to go to college at all. I didn't want to go to school at all. I didn't like high school at all. Everything was just kind of in my way. I
Yeah.
felt like growing up, and so I kind of set out like around junior high or junior year. I'm gonna go to these comic cons. I'm gonna draw these pictures. I'm gonna start talking to guys and showing them my portfolio, and just keep at it and just keep, And I'm gonna draw comic books. Gonna get paid to pencil and ink pages, and my life is set. Done. Done deal. And I think there was a turning point in senior year in high school where somebody from ILLA came out and did a presentation at our school, and that kind of opened me up to like art schools in general. I didn't even know art schools existed. And look at what these people are doing in art school. They're drawing Batman. They're drawing, there's all sorts of graphic design and illustration. And I don't even know if I saw anything that was animation at that point. I don't think I recall feeling that or wanting to pursue that until I got to school.
Yeah.
I certainly liked Disney movies and wondered about it and was doing goofy little animations and stuff, but never really thought about pursuing it
Hmm.
until college. Yeah.
That makes sense. What was your original uh
Major.
major? Yeah.
I think it was something like it might have been media arts and animation, something like
Okay.
that.
Yeah. Yeah, that was all of us actually.
Yeah, I think that was just a
Did
catch-all for
they?
like do everything.
But when
Yeah.
when did they first introduce that role? Because wasn't it sort of like an evolving thing that it started as something else?
I think media arts and animation was always there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the, and then I think after all of us graduated, that's when they started splitting it up into all the different things.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then I don't think Jack ever worked at a game company, but all of us did.
No, no, I've worked on game projects,
Yeah.
commercials and stuff, but never at a studio. Like, no,
Hmm.
no.
Oh, yeah. 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 Mm. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, we've heard this story like a couple of times, and I wonder if it's a generational thing and if there was like an era where people just weren't as exposed to it. But I also think that there's definitely like some location thing because especially in LA, I feel like so many people are in it in entertainment and in film and game and whatever that I feel like kids I don't know. Correct. What do you guys think? Do you think it was purely like a generational and time era thing, or it's also like location based?
Mm.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everyone that went to school with us that got into animation, almost all of them, I can't say 100% of them, but 99.9% of them, all of them said, "Oh, yeah, I'm gonna work on my own projects, and I'm gonna go to California." Everyone always said that.
Mm.
Or they wanted to work at Blizzard, or they wanted to work at, you know, Blur, yeah. So, I know when I started school there weren't many game companies
Mhm.
at all. And then eventually when the Toy Stories and the Jurassic Parks came out, then that's when everything became more and more popular. And
Mhm.
then, you know, uh, when all that was being done out here. All that was done out here. Yeah, like Activision, yeah, Activision and all those. 'Cause you hear stories about, like, Steve Jobs, I think it was at Activision, he was, like, raising a fuss, and people were like, you're an intern, right? You need to cool your jets. And he was like pushing engineers to like those colors aren't good enough or whatever the hell it was that he was saying. He was being a jerk.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think the exposure to it, there's a lot to be said about um not knowing what to do with this skill that you're trying to learn.
Mhm.
You know, I went to school, I wasn't convinced I was ever going to come to California.
Mm.
You know, I was
Yeah.
just like, I'm doing this because I like making cartoons. I always wanted to make 2D cartoons.
I think that was the drive for me too. I had no idea of what I was going to go into in college. I discovered my love for animation there, just using computers and stuff. And okay, you work through a couple of years of school and you do some projects, whatever. But I don't think I ever really had an idea of where this was going to lead. I kind of didn't really care as long as animation was a part of it.
Yeah.
And hopefully you land something. You go to a portfolio show or you talk to people and
Right.
you get a job doing something that you will hopefully enjoy.
Yeah. Yeah, like when I was still in school, I started landing like side gigs for real estate developers. They would give me the blueprints, and I was getting jobs because I could read blueprints. They
Mm-hmm.
said, "Can you build this in 3D?" I said, "Yeah, let me see the prints." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah." I'd come back with a house, and
Mm-hmm.
they're like, "Oh, okay, cool." And then I just kept getting work like that, and then eventually I had enough houses that I ended up getting a job at this video game company in Schaumburg that is no, they're not around anymore, but um
Yeah,
yeah,
what's the name?
past pastry.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't Mike Chuck work there? Right?
Yeah, I'm the one who hired Mike. Well, I
Okay.
didn't hire him. He came in for an interview, him, Neeraj, and a few other folks.
Yeah.
Um yeah, like I got I got Julie Watercutty. I got her the designer job there where I petitioned very hard to get her the design job there, and then I helped get Mike in there. Um, yeah, and then they're just not that good, so I left.
Mm-hmm. Gotta start somewhere.
Yeah, at pastry, I don't know if I ever seen it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'd love to watch it. They yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can't talk bad about him. It's this young dude with a little bit of money wanted to start a video game company.
How many years ago was that? Over a decade, over 15, 20 years ago?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Can't fault anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, yeah. So then, Bob, you went
Hmm.
from school. What was your first job after school?
Yeah, first job after school, like during that portfolio event, um, I had two people were interested. High Voltage was one, and a guy with a startup company called Motion Picture Studios.
Oh yeah.
They were out of LaGrange.
Yeah. What was his name? I remember
The guy
him.
who ran that was Chris Olson, was his name.
Yeah.
And he used to work at VeggieTales and then
Yeah.
took off on his own studio. And Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. Uh, but at graduation time, I was thankful anybody, looked at my stuff for longer than, 10 seconds, whatever, my reel or whatever, to get a call back or to get a card and say, hey, I'm going to contact you, was great. And to have two options was like, now I got to choose, that's unheard of. That's a great
Name
question.
said motion pictures in it.
Yeah. I can. I'll tell you. I remember interviewing with High Voltage. No, it was Motion Picture Studios first because I had to tell them, like, oh, thank you, and you made an offer, and I was like, let me get back to you. I got another interview, and you put a little pressure on me. We need to know as soon as possible. So I went and did High Voltage, and I remember meeting Eric Knopfinger and I can't remember who else. I'm sure there was a couple other art leads I talked to, but I don't remember specifically who they were. And that whole situation was like, I couldn't figure out how I was going to fit into what they were doing. I liked video games and I could talk their ear off about whatever was hot on PlayStation or whatever. And I fit, personality wise. But I had no interest in 3D, and I kept it away from my demo reels, and I didn't have, the 3D assignments to show or whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe I had a turnaround or something in my print portfolio. I don't think I had any 3D on my reel. So I couldn't understand how I fit into the pipeline here. Like, oh, look at what I make goofy ass cartoons, and how do I? So by the time I shook it out of him, because I was just a kid, and they don't really teach you how to conduct yourself, the questions to ask, in these interviews and things.
Right.
So it was just like, hey, we're going to use you for texture maps. You're going to work in Photoshop and you're going to make texture maps. And it's like, man, I don't know the first thing really about texture maps. I got them to work, a couple times for a couple assignments or something, but I barely know Photoshop. It felt like a weird fit. And so that's kind of what helped me make the decision, really. Everything Chris Olsen was sort of pitching sounded better anyway. Like, oh, we're doing storyboards, we're doing character designs, concepts. He had a lot of ideas, a lot of things going on in his head, and it just seemed like there was more of an opportunity to be creative here. And so that's how I kind of made that decision. And I ended up coming back around to High Voltage eventually, anyway. But what's that like? At that time, like when I came, when I came to them, it was a weird situation because I left WMS. I left WMS for a gig at Sock Puppet.
I remember.
Yeah. I was one of the bastard children across the parking lot. Yeah. And then when they folded, I was given an opportunity to be absorbed into High Voltage as a UI artist. And I weaseled into some concept in previs work when I was there, and but yeah, that's kind of how I wound up over there. Man, when was this? What time would that have been? Because it's funny that was yeah. Yeah, it was Bob Nelson. It was Bob Nelson. Was it Brandon Ford? And uh, it was it Ben Savage? Was he a concept? Okay. So that's crazy, man. Because I left 2006. I came back to WMS. So you came in right after me, and uh, we like I pitched hard a concept team. Like I was on the UI team, and I just wanted to do more character work and more drawing. You know, they had some proprietary tools that ripped apart Flash Swifts and recompiled it into the UI, which it was just a weird hack, right? And you could feel it every step of the way.
Oh,
So,
wow.
um, yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was something to do, but you know, I was looking for more art stuff, and I got worked into the Billy and Mandy team, and you know, I did some stuff for some of the other Family Guy and Zathura. You know, I was grateful for sort of those bones they were throwing. I did a whole animated logo for Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, but during all of that, it's like, you know, I was putting together stuff like, hey, this is how I think concept team could work, and Ben Savage was a great he was there much longer and before me, and liked the idea as well. And there was like a couple other guys. Jose Vasquez was another one. Yeah. So it was, and I remember talking to Matt Corso and just like pitching this idea, and like, this is how it's going to work. These are the timelines. We're not taking these people from the individual teams. They're going to be contributing to all teams, right? You have to make the. I've done this pitch so many times. Well, that would be great to think that, but I think there was just a need for it at the time. Like we were heading into the next generation, which was 360, Xbox 360 at the time, and it's like, hey guys, you know, I don't know, you can specialize a little bit more. You don't need everybody doing everything. I don't know, you know, yeah, yeah. Mm, mm, yeah. Yeah, you know, I think high voltage, and this is exactly what Matt told me too. Like, he was just like, yeah, we don't really work that way, you know. It was funny. He took me out to coffee, and it's like, well, I don't drink coffee. What are we doing? Come with me. Come in my car. We're gonna go get coffee. And I'm still kind of young and naive, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on here, but all right, I'll go do. And it was just kind of like, let me get you out of the studio and talk one on one with you, right? Let me let me sort of let you down gently that we just don't work this way. Why don't you just lay off? And you know, he was right, because there were guys there that were talented in a lot of different aspects. You know, Angel and yeah, I mean, he could draw and model and animate, and a couple of guys were like that. And so, you know, it would be just like, yeah, it was the Wild West. Anybody who could kind of contribute to this one aspect of production, yeah, jump on it, or you know, find somebody within the team that sort of can do it. You know, that's kind of how they got along. And it's still going,
Hey,
yeah.
Walter's still there.
Yeah.
Nice, good for them.
Mm-hmm.
They might be the
Exactly. Yeah.
they might be the number one reason why they started the game
Absolutely.
the game thing there.
Yeah, because proximity. Yeah, like
Yeah.
I
We
don't.
were we were definitely their farm system.
Mhm. Yeah, they had ties, and then like what there was EA Chicago and
Yeah.
you know, I guess Jellyvision was there. The place that did Mac Day One, right? Was it Day One?
Day one is one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's crazy. Or bought up by EA.
Oh,
One
yeah.
of the two. Yeah.
Yeah, wide load. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mhm.
Hey, Long Arm is here. What's up? He said, "My boys." Yeah, son. Yeah. Um,
It's crazy, man.
that's it, it blows my mind. You brought up so many names that uh oh my God, it's crazy. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um and for me it was crazy because some of the people that you mentioned, well, me and Matt Corso were in school together.
Mhm.
I was friends with Matt when he was still a cop.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. He said,
yeah.
"Oh, I thought it was for Ubisoft."
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
Good for him. Good for him.
Mhm.
But yeah, like there was a lot of people that saw me as a student, then as a graduate, then as an employee, then I they're like, "When the hell are you gonna leave?" But yeah. When did you end up at uh what is it, VMS or
WS.
WMS?
Um, that would have been like right after Motion Picture Studios, so like 2002
Mm,
or three. I was probably at Motion Picture Studios. There's a lot of acronyms in my work history. It was MPS, SPS, WMS, HVS. Yeah, MPS was only a year and a half or maybe 2 years, and so then I went to WMS. And basically, this is Chris Olsen at Motion Picture Studios. He ran out of money, and I remember people leaving and not really knowing what to do, like how to find another art job. This was just a startup studio, right?
was that the same was that the same company? Because I think I had a couple friends that worked there, and I remember catching up to one of them, and she
Uh,
said that,
Sharon Stapp.
yeah, probably.
She was Sharon Stapp at the time, but she's Sharon Gutierrez now.
Yeah. It might have been her, but something to the effect of he was closing up shop and he didn't and it might be I might be completely off here, but it's a good warning for people, I guess. But he was running out of money, started closing up shop and didn't give anyone anything for their portfolio or anything.
Oh, it was weird. This was all like everything was in development. These were all IPs and ideas of his that he was either trying to develop for the web or
Yeah.
for video or for a movie, right? So, I didn't want anything to go out the door. I didn't let
Yeah.
anybody really have
Which
anything.
is understandable
Yeah, to a certain degree.
to
I
a
mean,
certain degree.
yeah, you know, yeah, yeah.
Huh.
I leave that to each artist in their own. I will get every job that I've had. I don't mind saying that. Like, I'll get the work that I think I deserve. So, one way or another. And you just be careful about who sees it or how you show it, right? If you're going into an interview or you're showing off a website, it's all under lock and key, or it's like, yeah, right. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, it's a little hard for companies, and especially a sole individual that wants to be protective of this stuff, to kind of understand that. And I don't know, we were all kids anyway, we were all pretty young, but yeah, from MPS then. So there was a couple people that left and found work. Ryan Summers was one of them. I don't know if you guys know him. He was from the Chicago campus. And we were roommates for a little while, but he landed a gig at WMS and then brought a couple of us over from MPS. And that's your first taste of like, it's all about who you know, right? Getting your foot in the door somewhere else. And I'll tell you, like, kind of going back to those introverted sort of feelings, like, not really caring about this recognition or what's kind of going on. You're kind of just going forward, doing what you like. Like coming out of MPS, I got my stuff together and left and said, like, hey, it's nice working with all you guys, and kind of just figured I'd never see any of those people again. And I think this is to my inexperience and all that introversion talk. I didn't really realize that I made friends with these people, that I was working in the trenches with all these. We were staying up late. We were working on crazy things for some guy who didn't know if he was going to have money, right? Up in the wee hours, going out and getting drinks and having lunches together and stuff. And all right, it's all over. Time to find a new job, right? It was really kind of a thinking back. It is an experience that we all had our own feelings about, and I think at the time we all really thought, this is crazy. What are we doing? There's no focus here or whatever. But it's something I really valued a lot. Like a lot of my good friends kind of came out of that, and that time was like a time where, yeah, man, it was short-lived, but we were kind of doing whatever we wanted. We were trying to make something cool here. The guy who was running it was, I don't know, he's probably 30 or something. We were in our early 20s. So it's like, yeah, right. I mean, what could we really expect? But
how frustrated are you that you guys were, like, if YouTube would have happened, you guys would have, like, motion picture studios would probably still be around.
Oh, I never actually thought of that. I mean, he was doing stuff on a website that we were trying to update, and I remember like trying to figure out how I'm going to update this cartoon or these animations like daily or every other day or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess if the internet had come along a little faster, we would have had other means of getting stuff out there. Maybe I don't know if we would have had the money to hire the staff to make the content fast enough that the internet could now accept, right? We were still doing stuff on a 56K dial-up or whatever, or the one T1 line we had in place.
Yeah. Yeah, that was back when, modems and stuff. When you had a T1 line, that was it. You knew you made it.
Yeah, I think the receptionist had the T1 line,
That's funny.
Mm. Yeah, it's funny. I was again, just to put myself back in that bubble. I think I was ignorant of a lot of things, and maybe that was an advantage. But coming out of MPS, going into WMS, I had a lot of hesitations. I knew they were making slot machine games. I knew the content. Or Ryan was probably talking it up to me, or showed me a website. My buddy Dave, who was at MPS, he came from Star Tunes. He got into WMS first, or before me, and kind of like coaxed me into like, yeah, you should at least go on the interview and listen to him, right? Because I was just like, I don't know if I want to make slot games, or I didn't have any like anything against him. I can't imagine the amount of creativity or animation that goes into these machines, right? So, I went on the interview, and they showed me around, and, they were directly across the street from Midway. It all used to be Williams. That's why the WMS. But so, yeah, they're walking me around and showing me, showing me around. And, it turned around because I thought like, yeah, I can do this. I see what's happening here. I see the work they're doing. Very limited stuff. It was like 16-bit color or whatever, like some sort of archaic old system, and sort of the drawings on some of the glass and stuff. I thought like there's room for improvement here, quite honestly. And I had a knowledge of After Effects and Flash and Photoshop and all. It's like the Adobe stuff. It's like, man, I can apply that directly right here. Like I got things to do, right? I can do this. So I think there was rather than like thinking about the type of work, or if I'm going to get to do, how much animation am I going to get to do, or drawing or whatever. It just was like there's a hole here that I can stick my foot in, and then do sort of more, right? Once I can do a little bit of drawing or a little bit of animation, I can kind of pry open the door a little bit more, and like let's see where it goes from there. So I guess it just looked like that there was a crack, here. Like, okay, yeah, there could be something to this. And yeah, we kind of think back on this now, all of us who've been at WMS for a long time. Like there was a kind of a big shift at that moment when all of us were coming in at that time, right around the time where I came in, where they were getting new hardware that supported more frames of animation, more colors, right, more higher resolution. We were doing stuff at like 640 by 480 or whatever, which was still crazy, like small at that time. So as new hardware rolled in, and people were getting full suites of the Adobe stuff, it's like, oh yeah, let's go to town. I'll make your characters out of Flash, and I'll spit these frames out. Here you go. Here's 125 frames. Let's see you jam this in your system. And obviously there's some stubbornness and some whatever ignorance there. You kind of have to scale back some stuff or whatever. But there was a lot that was happening, and it only got better from there. Technology expanded, and more people came in, and it was a great time to kind of share like knowledge and teach anybody that was willing to learn or absorb this stuff. So a lot of things kind of like lined up right at that moment, and you get in at that point, and I was there for 15 years. When Tyrus came in, I was definitely there. I don't know what year he came in, but he came in on Javier's team, Javier Guzman's team.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it depends. There's definitely, I still had that feeling of like specialization and wanting to sort of focus on certain aspects, and in order to get those games done, everybody did kind of have to be a jack of all trades in the beginning. It took me over a decade or whatever to kind of like build up the reputation and the support from everyone around me to say like, yeah, Bob can be the animation guy, or one of a couple animation guys that focuses on animation. And eventually, I worked towards having my own team that just focused on animation, and that goes right back to the concept team. Like, hey, we're going to take a couple artists off of your teams, but we're going to put them into this one team that facilitates everybody. And those conversations were like difficult for people to kind of understand that, and I needed a lot of support from everybody to kind of kick it off. And yeah, those were good times. That was a good.
And I want to go back to something that you said a little earlier about teaching and sharing and doing all that good stuff. That's one of the things that I remember most about you, because we bumped into each other. I can't even tell you where we were. I don't know if it was your house, someone's house. It was something, and you had a computer there, and you're like, "Hey, take a look at this." And you showed me a cartoon, and I was like, "Whoa, that's amazing." And then you're showing me how you broke everything down and how you animated it.
Huh.
I have no idea where we were.
Okay.
None. But yet again, there's a couple things that have happened in my life that I'm like, "Whoa,
Little fuzzy eye.
is his fault."
Man, with that, I did a talk or two at the school, and I know there was a couple Halo matches at Luis's place or Neil Reamer's.
Yeah. Is Neil still in Atlanta?
I think so. I see his name come through LinkedIn or other places here and there, but I'm not sure what he's up to.
Yeah. Last time I bumped into him was on Xbox Live.
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, "You ready to kill some people?" "Yeah, all right." And then as we're killing people, we're just catching up, and it was constant chatter. "Oh yeah, how you doing? How you girl? La la la," and all this. And people legit told us, "Will you shut the F up?"
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh-huh.
Exactly. That was a good time. You call up your old friend, but hey, you feel like killing people?
Yeah,
Yeah, sure.
suit up.
Um, this would be a really good segue. We are trying to, for those of you guys that are watching, hey Drew, hey Manny. Manny is thinking of a question. Long arm, welcome. Sleepy Roz, welcome. But anyway, we were trying to get you on the show a while back because if you don't know, Bob had a Kickstarter going a couple months ago. And this was the second one that you did.
Yeah.
I showed everyone your book already. We've already talked about the first one.
Cool.
But if you want to pull it up, you can. If you want to pull up the second one, you can do that too. Can you explain to people how you came up with this idea for this book?
So it all centers around that idea of just tapping into yourself as a budding artist, and sort of the idea of just uninhibited creativity. Like you're not working, you don't have any responsibilities. You're really just making art for yourself. Like I was saying, I could entertain myself in my room, right? So as we all get older, self-criticism sets in. You got peers, you got teachers, you got jobs and everything. Everything is influencing what you're doing, and it's like impossible. But I love the chase to like get back to that time. Like it's impossible for you as an adult to just say, "I'm gonna make art for myself."
Yeah,
because it's just in your head too much. Like, who's going to see this? Who's going to think about this? Or what's influencing me right now as I'm making this line? What am I thinking of? Right? I can't. Yeah. There's a moment there in your, man. I don't know if it's like elementary school, because I just felt like I don't know what I was really influenced by, I guess, but just by toys and things, whatever was around me. But it just seemed like it was completely carefree, and I admire that. And I think there's an element of nostalgia here too, right? Where I just love thinking back to that time as a kid. And so that's what this book is all about. Like, we collected, me and my buddy Adam Hopus, who worked with Luis in Minnesota at Target. That's how I met him. I think I showed him this folder of stuff that I stole from my parents' house, like all my old art. Like, hey, get a little. I think I brought it to a party too. Like this is my idea of fun at a party, like showing some nerds like some old crayon drawings, right? So he was down with it, and yeah, like, we should do something with this, and maybe we can wrangle up some other artists, and that's exactly what we did. We just talked to a bunch of buddies that we know, and sent out some invites, and just for fun, and we kickstarted it, and it went pretty well. And we did volume 2, just recently. Yeah, and that's kind of the whole story there. Just celebrating sort of kid art in general.
And the both Kickstarters were funded.
Yeah.
Is there anywhere where people can pick up a copy of this?
You know what? They should email me or direct message me on Instagram. Because I don't have like a storefront or anything, but
you have ways.
Yeah. I've been doing PayPal through people,
Cool.
And we tried to keep the number, of the quantity that we've printed specific to the Kickstarter. So, but there is extra. So yeah, don't hesitate to drop me a line.
Awesome.
We can figure something out. I should say too that the book, to explain it a little bit more, the book is like, hey artist friends, go gather up your art from when you were a kid, give us a couple samples, 2 samples exactly, and reimagine those drawings now as your professional selves. So all the artists have about 4 pages in the book. 2 on the left side are the kid art, and then on the right side are the reimagined drawings. And you guys have probably seen stuff like this going around on Kickstarter or stuff before, like, reimagine some kid art. It was just a cool, I think I always admired that, and I loved seeing friends of ours still have access to that art and just getting a kick out of, like, man.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Where do you find folks pulling art from? Like, just digging through boxes? Like, what's the story of where people? Because like, if I wanted to find something of mine from, like,
there you go. Yeah.
when I was like,
baby.
Yeah, there it is.
Then and now, yeah, that's Adam's cover in volume 1.
Like, where are you finding, like, people just they contact their parents, or they have their own stuff? Like, where are you finding people that find this stuff?
It's tough. I think that's one of the big hurdles, is a lot of people, and a lot of close friends too. Is like, this was always meant to be friends. Just get your buddies. Let's get some buddies in here, and let's just have fun with this. We're not trying to, brand ourselves or turn this into some sort of mass-produced thing or whatever. And a lot of our friends did not have access to that stuff. Like, either that was thrown out, or just, they didn't hang on to it. So I think that was a challenge early on, where, we tapped our closest buddies, and then when a certain percentage of them couldn't actually, or didn't have the art, then we started going into friends of friends, and kind of finding out, loose acquaintances or people you might have connected to, along the way. Just, hey, are you down with this idea? But yeah, for me personally, my mom hung on to a lot of it, and I think this kind of goes back into an indirect way of supporting me as an artist. Like, she just shelved it all and put it in a box somewhere. But I think back to all that stuff, and she had no idea that I would be so nostalgic over all this stuff, decades later. But yeah, it fueled me, and it still does. So she had a bunch of stuff. you know, I saved all of my stuff from junior high to high school. I have like a big box of just notebook paper drawings and like, you know,
Really?
yeah, just junk. I went through a phase where I got a filing cabinet for Christmas one year, and I couldn't wait to fill it. And like there was a part of my brain that was like quantity.
Oh,
Like a part of my brain was like, I just want to fill this up, and I would just crank out, crap, and just to put it in there.
that's amazing.
But yeah, everybody had different stories. I think a lot of people are like, yeah, when I'm going home over the holidays, I'll go and see if my mom's got anything, that she saved, or some people did hang on to stuff. So it's like, awesome, man. Yeah, let's go. Yeah.
Do you have any more ideas that you're going to be working on or that you're going to focus on? I know, welcome Shiloh. Hello.
Hey, Joe.
Shiloh, you're probably going to want to follow Bob's,
Yeah,
Instagram.
I think he did already. I think we traded just like recently, just like the
Oh,
last
cool.
day or two. Yeah.
Yeah, Shiloh's amazing. But obviously we're gonna share all your details towards the end of the show.
Sure, no sweat.
But
Yeah,
kind of like the filing cabinet idea. I see that you have a YouTube channel. Are you gonna fill that up with all your YouTube cartoons and stuff?
there's a lot of ideas, but I got kicking around. I've never actively tried to do anything on YouTube, but if I did, I think it would be more like a, sort of tutorial or opinions or something. Yeah, I feel like I can't crank out the content that some of these other people can, on a regular basis in terms of, animated cartoons or ideas, narratives or gags or whatever. I admire it completely, but I got to sit down and sort of be in the zone, and it'll take me, months to a year to come up with something. And I do want to get into that, and I think I'd like to start something like that. But it's more of a personal project, and then I'll show people along the way, or I'll show it when I'm done or whatever. But yeah, I just can't do it that fast, man.
Yeah, I hear you. There's some folks out here. Well, some of the more popular animators on YouTube have let the cat out of the bag a little bit, where they've made enough money where they were able to hire a couple more animators.
I've seen that in the credits. Some of these some of these shows where it looks like it could be done by one person. There's like goofy, memey characters, right? And they're okay, they're taking some shortcuts, but it's all they're strong, maybe still strong poses and very impactful. And there's gags, and it's like, man, you still have to plan that out. There's still a lot of work to that.
Right.
And yeah, I think I saw some names and some, at the end, right? Some credits, like, oh, okay. Well, that makes some sense, right? You're putting this stuff out once a week or every other day or whatever. Yeah.
I know. There's one guy, I forget his name, but I'm assuming it's a they, it might be just a him, but just the stories alone. Every time they release something, it's like a 20-minute cartoon.
Hmm.
You know how hard it is? Like, I just animated, what, 7 minutes? And it took me like 3 months. And the script was basically, like I was telling you before the show, I'm animating this guy's prank calls. And even then, it's like 3 months.
Yeah, no, it's great. There's
Pulling teeth.
even if it's just even if it's just a script and a talking head, or people doing some research on a topic. There's a couple guys that I follow that talk about animators or anime, the history of this or that, and it's just, man, like, you gotta think of that, you gotta write it, you gotta script it, you gotta source all the clips and edit it all together. no animation involved. This is just writing. Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah, but I guess it's full-time work for a lot of these guys. So
Yeah, hey, quite honestly,
Mhm.
um, it's a good move. It's a good move, especially for people like us that,
Mhm.
we sat up drawing cartoons or,
Yeah,
I drew in front of cartoons trying to copy those guys, right?
right.
Um, and I've always wanted to work at a place like that. Well, not necessarily a place like that. I always wanted to make cartoons.
Sure.
And now I can.
Mhm.
So it's legit a dream come true for me.
Yeah, yeah. There's some VFX guys that I follow on YouTube, and for them, the dream was always to get into Hollywood to work on these movies, right? That's what they wanted to do. That
Right.
was kind of the only outlet, and they're in their, I guess, their 30s or something now, and they caught on YouTube in the beginning, and it's like, well, yeah, we get to do all that right now. We're doing all those effects right now, but everything has just changed. We don't have to go out to Hollywood and be part of these. We can go
Right.
make movies ourselves. We can go do the
Mhm.
effects right here.
Right.
Mhm.
And not just movies, like games too, because look at Cuphead.
Mm-hmm.
Cuphead was amazing, and it started two brothers,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Um
It took
a-
4
and
years.
it's just and I know I'm a broken record. It's a wonderful time. It's a wonderful time to be an artist.
Yeah, no, it definitely is.
So if
Yes.
you hear my voice and you're like, "Oh my god, my life." No, stop. Stop. Don't do that. Yeah, you deserve better. So, you're a freelance illustrator now?
Yeah, I'm freelancing now. I left WMS, who was called Scientific Games in the later
Okay.
years. I left them in February of this year, so I'm kind of fresh to this sort of freelance gig
Yeah.
thing. Um,
Did
and
Javier talk you into this?
no, I don't think so. I'm trying to
No.
recall. uh, he was on my team for a while, and he left. That was tough. But he went into another aspect. He's doing mobile games now. He's working from
Oh,
home.
cool.
That was all cool. I think for me, it came down to a point where, like, I've been working so long, and maybe because it was for the same company for so long, I needed a break. I needed to kind of do my own thing, and I'm grateful that everybody could understand that. You know, I'm not going to a competitor. I'm not. Um, I'm not saying I'm fed up with this place or whatever, but yeah, I'm looking at my life and what I
Yeah.
want to do, and how long it's taking me to commute, how much time, all this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just like, all right, well, I don't know. I don't know when I might have another opportunity like this. So
Yeah.
I'm just gonna let's end it here, and maybe I'll be back at some point if you guys will still have me, or
Sure.
whatever. But I need some time right now just to do some projects on my own, and the book was one of them.
Yeah.
The second Kickstarter, and starting up an Instagram and kind of just feeling creative for myself again.
Yeah.
And I did things. Certainly I was active in like going to San Diego and just kind of, I don't know, just being interested in art and doing little things here and there, gallery shows and projects, freelance here and there. But it was always such a compromise. The clock is really what I was fighting. Just like I don't got enough time to feel fulfilled in anything that I'm doing outside of work. It's I don't know. It was just hard. So
I have a. Oh,
sorry, that just to say that that's what spurred me to leave, and then like, all right, well, I got to find some work to sustain myself, and so
Yeah.
just trying to hunt down some gigs here and there.
Yeah. Are you using like LinkedIn and all that stuff?
Luis put me in touch with a guy that he was
Cool.
using or that he worked for, and
Cool.
that's been great. And I had like some logo stuff, and my buddy Ryan, kind of just people that I know.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Word of mouth.
yeah,
Yeah. That's cool. That's cool. I have a question in the chat room.
Yeah.
For you personally, how much do you think school helped you accomplish and gain the opportunities that you had? Do you think it would have been possible without it?
That's a great question, and I think it seems to always come up
Thanks, Manny.
in conversations all the time. It's weird because if I were to do it all over again, I wouldn't go to school. There's so many resources now that maybe we didn't have then. Of course, all this stuff, YouTube and tutorials and online schools and all this. And geez, even if we didn't have all that, I feel like by the time you're in high school or college, you can kind of just sit down and do it and figure it out yourself.
Right.
But uh, the school puts you in touch with software and like making connections
Right.
depending on how social you are, and I don't know. I think if you're resourceful enough, you'll figure out those things too. You'll get your hands on software. You'll be connected through other people online. You have to make it a priority. You kind of have to because you're not going to school. So I don't know. I can't recommend dumping all that money into a brick and mortar school. But I don't regret it either, because everybody that I came in contact with, all those pieces fell into place.
Right.
I got two or a couple gigs out of the portfolio show, right? So I had to go through school and kind of go through all that. Just everything kind of fed along itself. So
Right.
yeah.
And at that, I forget, at that time, was the portfolio show, it was like a pretty big deal, right? It was like they invited a bunch of people from around town, and
Yeah, the school. Yeah, it was Schaumburg and Chicago combined. It was
oh, okay.
someplace downtown. Yeah.
It
Hey,
was
Charlie, just
combined.
so you know, we can see that you're shopping for like a Halloween something or other. Yeah. We're back though. We're back now.
Yeah, it was Schaumburg and Chicago in one, and yeah, the school, asked people to come out like High Voltage and whoever they had connections with to, shop the portfolio show. Yeah, what was the original question? Was it a big deal?
Oh, well, yeah, I just the event itself, because I know they invite people, they invite industry
Yeah,
folks, and you guys were saying that it was like a combined one.
yeah. So you got to put on your best clothes, and everybody had to figure out how to get a tube TV with a VCR to a yeah, man.
And boxes of DVDs.
Yeah. They had to bring all this hardware. It was ridiculous, man. Can't believe.
Do you think
Kids these days, they don't know how good they
Yeah,
have
no
it.
idea. I remember graduating back then. I was jealous of like the multimedia or the web design majors, where they just had a Mac laptop and hey, check this out. Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah. Hmm. Mhm. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, both schools, all majors. Yeah, there's yeah. Mhm. Yeah. 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 That's probably I've been to a lot of different shows. It's a hard thing to figure out how to do. I don't know. I don't really know what I could recommend.
Hmm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 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 It's cr it's tough. There was a couple that I did, for the Schaumburg, campus, where I made it a point to be like, "I'm gonna talk to every student here. I I'm gonna walk down this table, I'm gonna get these cards. I just wanna see how they sell themselves, what they're gonna show me, what they're gonna talk about, you know?" And, yeah, I think I made it, like, 3/4 of the way through. Um, it was a fine, it was a cool experiment. You know, some people were on the money, some people knew exact. I mean, it was a very small percentage, but you know, a couple people knew exactly what their strengths were. That's the key. You know, I feel like all these people are showing you everything, but nobody really knows what they want to do or what their strengths are.
Yeah.
So just sussing out those people was kind of like a fun little game. You know? Yeah, yeah. Oh, to go. Mhm. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Oh, yeah. Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. 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 I think whenever I did it, it was like the company was looking for artists, so I guess they were willing to let me take a half day or whatever just to go down there, because it's for their benefit, really, if we find, you know.
All right. So, hey Jack, you ready with the this or that?
Ooh, fired up that one in a while.
I know. Best off that record. Yeah.
Yes, I actually do have it. So let's go.
Yeah.
Here they come, yo. Here they come. Here they this or that. This or that. This or that. This or that.
Bob Rissetto.
Uh-huh.
This or that. Pencil or stylus?
Stylus.
Ooh, attaboy.
Yeah.
Uh,
Would you like? Do you want to have a conversation about?
if you feel like you want to, I'm in. I'm in. Talk to me.
um, yeah, I think I've just moved that way over the years, and I only bring that up. I only say that like that because I see a lot of stuff on Instagram that's like, championing pencil and paper and stuff, and yeah, that's fine. That's I don't know. I think it's just all tools. Just do whatever you want. I don't feel like people should be saying there's a superior implement. It's just weird. But me personally, I just like being in my space in the zone. All right, I got a block of time. I got everything right here on this thing in front of me. I got bunches of friends that do watercolors and inks and stuff for Inktober, and I just like having, even if it's fake or simulated or whatever, just everything at my fingertips. Let me just play around with all this stuff like immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't need your smock.
Yeah, I don't need my smock. I don't need my my palette and my cup of water. I don't even need to be at like this other table with an eraser and a pencil. Right? Like I used to I have an animation disc. It's in the garage, but I used to have it set up over here, and it just like sitting in a different chair, getting paper out from this thing, putting it on the pegs, turning the light on, finding the pencil that feels good. All right, sharpen, but it's just like, yeah. It seems so stupid, like, but really it's like, oh, I can come here, pick this up and go to town, right? I don't have to, I don't know. I guess there are situations where I want to feel that way, it comes down to the process. Like, what do you want to feel in the process?
Yeah.
That's my argument.
I like it. Let's go with this one. How about Saturday morning cartoons or after school cartoons?
Saturday morning for sure. Yeah.
They were better, huh?
Just more time. You got your cereal, you got the whole.
Yeah. Oh, that's when my mom used to put on her disco records and want to clean the house. I'm like, come on, bro, what are you doing? Yeah. My mom had zero patience. She, son, my mom was, yeah.
That's rough. I could see doing after school then.
Yeah. I'm not 100% sure where this one can go, but school or work experience?
School or work experience? I think just work experience.
Yeah. That kind of goes to Manny's
Yeah.
Manny's question, right?
Yeah.
Um
Yeah, if that's where that question kind of comes from, right?
yeah.
But, yeah. The value in school or work experience.
Yeah. And to help build off of what you said to Manny, like it really depends on your personality.
Sure.
If you're a go-getter and you
Yeah.
keep yourself on schedule and you keep yourself motivated, and obviously where you live,
Mhm.
like there's a bunch of art get-togethers that people do all over.
Yeah.
But if you're in the middle of absolutely nowhere,
Yeah.
it might be kind of tough to build that community. Whereas, prime example, us here, we all went to school together and it's a lot of fun catching up with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
I
school
think
was a little valuable, but
Yeah, it's kind of like you'll learn more work experience wise than you will too, right? But you gotta get that first job first.
Right.
So however you want to get there, whether it's Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know what? This might be this might be the perfect way to explain if you should go to school or not. School is a lot like a boat.
Okay, all right, all right,
It might be
yes,
cool. It's cool to have a boat, but you
right.
don't really want a boat. You want a friend with a boat.
Hmm.
That's the perfect situation when your good friend has a boat, right?
Yeah.
So if you're a go-getter, what you do is you jump on like all these learning websites and even YouTube, and you get your skills going. And then when your friend has a get together, you jump on, you jump
Hmm.
in the car with him, and you go to the school get together.
Hmm.
You show off all your work.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, use your friends like a boat.
Hmm. Just yeah, just don't sink. Yeah, you're right. Exactly. Make sure there's no holes in the boat. Yeah, yeah. You can come on my boat all you want. Just make sure you put your foot.
Don't move. All right, last one.
Yeah.
Uh, Gaming or cartoons?
Cartoons. Yeah,
Man, oh boy.
yeah. I play a lot of games, but I like everything about cartoons. I don't like everything about games.
Would you like work-wise, do you prefer drawing cartoons or do you prefer drawing for games?
Yeah, cartoons for sure.
Cartoons? That's what I
Anything
like.
that's like character or character or any kind of acting or narrative driven. I haven't done like a whole lot of it, but it's where my brain's kind of always at.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Here's another Manny question. When you were learning to draw, did you have a disciplined schedule? Accomplish X drawings in a week, for example?
Mhm.
Or were you able to draw consistently for hours every day without a schedule?
No, there was never a schedule or any kind of goal. It
Yeah.
was almost just self fulfillment.
Yeah.
And it was just to build off of that. It was very vexing when I got into college because they uh, pressured you, I'd almost say, to carry a sketchbook and draw all the time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And the school's looking out for their own interest. The only way you're going to get better at this is if you do it all the time, right? We got to try to get you a
Right.
job here. But it was always weird for me. I've never carried a sketchbook. I've never been spontaneous about art. I've always had an idea in my head, and I'm going to find the time to execute it. And depending on how much time I have, that's the type of project I can do. Either it's a drawing or minutes of animation or whatever it is. So I've always been motivated just by internal, well, outside influences, but just whenever I feel like it.
Yeah.
And sorry to keep going, but
No, keep going.
there's I've seen a couple guys on YouTube, or maybe one guy in particular, just like, all right, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna set the schedule, and I'm gonna just draw this. I'm gonna do a little bit every day, and it's like brute forcing a skill into yourself, which I think can work, and I'm sure there are people that can testify to that can prove it. But it doesn't add up in my head to what like art is. Like I feel like it should just come out of you when you feel it, or when you have an idea about something. Um, um, yeah, I don't know. So it certainly works both ways. You could set that regimented schedule, and you can, sort of pound it into your brain. But yeah, I felt differently about it. Yeah.
But then what are you gonna do? Like, I know this happens to me all the time. Like sometimes I want to draw,
Yeah.
but it's not coming out.
Uh, I don't know. In those situations, I guess I just wouldn't draw.
Yeah. Yeah. So imagine if your brain was or your creativity was in that lull
hmm
during that time,
hmm
during your quote unquote productive time, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right. So you're basically defeating the purpose.
I guess yeah. If you're like what I'm saying is like, oh, I've got this block of time or whatever, or I got yeah, this block of time to do something to be creative, and the creativity isn't there. Yeah, that's kind of just a problem. You're gonna have to shelve it and come back to it.
Yeah. Or what I do is like if I'm watching TV, I'll have my iPad with me and I'll
hmm
try to draw caricatures of the characters that are on the TV or whatever. Or sometimes I just sit there and scribble. Like if my brain is just tired of being awake, I just sit
hmm
there and put blobs down. It doesn't matter.
hmm
I just don't want my hand to lose I don't want my hand to lose the feel of the pencil, you know what I mean?
hmm Oh, I see. Yeah,
Uh,
you're doing something else, but you're
yeah,
still doing art, or you're still
yeah,
going through the motions.
right,
Mhm.
right. Yeah, my Procreate app has a bunch of trash in it.
Mhm. Trash. Included
All
trash.
right, I think it's time for me to go to bed because this cold isn't going to go away if I don't. But Bob, if people are looking for you online, where can they find you?
Well, these days it would be Instagram, I guess. Just Bob.Rissetto is my handle there. That's
Two S's, two T's.
US is two T's, yeah, Rissetto. But you can hunt me down. I have a website, just bobrissetto.com. Email, bob.rissetto.art@gmail. I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me at those places. I've kind of stayed away from the social stuff for a while. I never had a Facebook, and only now I'm
That's
doing
a smart move.
Instagram. I don't have a Twitter handle or anything.
Yeah, don't
Uh,
worry about it. You don't want
but
it.
yeah, you can find me.
Instagram is perfect for you to ride that out. The Instagram and your website.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Don't be afraid. Shoot me an email. I'll chat you up about whatever you want.
groovy. Thank you, sir.
hmm
Hey, Charlie, how about you? I do. Groovy. Thank you, sir. Hey, Jack, give it to him.
I am at sketchbookjack.com and sketchbookjack mainly on Instagram.
Groovy. Thank you, sir. Thank you all for being here. And also thank you to Shiloh, obviously. Drew, Manny. Thank you for the questions, Manny. Long Arm, Sleepy Roz, someone, Noel. Hey, oh, you can find me at coconutjustice.com, Coconut Justice, everywhere else. And if you wouldn't mind, please go to youtube.com/coconut justice and subscribe. That would be fantastic. This is Sketch Zone. You can find 189 other shows because it's 190, son.
A lot of freaking shows.
A lot of friggin' shows. Hey, you can go to sketch.zone to catch all of them.
Mhm.
What else? We're all over the place. We're on Facebook. You'll find all the links to all our social media on the website. But if you're on Instagram, we're doing the fun prompt, which is outrageous alien destroying. And what you want to do is you post that and tag us. Actually, go through the process of tagging us. Don't just at Sketch Zone podcast us. Tag us, and then that way we can share it, and then we'll show it on the show like we did in the beginning of this one. And as you can see, we welcome questions like Manny and all you other wonderful people that were asking questions. We love having you guys join us, but if you can't, you can find us on Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play Music, iTunes, and Spotify. And if you're watching us here on YouTube, please hit subscribe. And if you hit that little bell, whenever we go live, you get alerted and you get to watch us. But we try to be here Thursday nights at 9 California time. That's like what? Saturday morning Chicago time?
That's right. Yeah. I watch my Saturday morning cartoons right now.
See? All right, y'all. That's it for us.
Thanks a lot, guys. This was awesome.
Thanks.
Don't hate,
We'll do it again.
you know.